this is Adrian. I go Capricorntigress with Astrology, a look inside. And I'm coming to you with the astrology reading for Scorpio for the month of September 2018. And Scorpio, you're actually my last reading of the month. And I didn't plan it that way. I swear I did a Scorpio reading. I know I did with the rest of the readings. But when I went to look for it, it was mysteriously not there. And, you know, a lot of that mysteriousness is really kind of indicative of the kind of month you Scorpios are going to have. So let's start with the beginning. And let me get all my little things here where I usually have them, so I can talk about all the astrological things that are going to be coming up, because I usually have that here. But you know, the month, it starts off in your 11th house, because everything starts off in the house of Virgo, or you know, in Virgo. The sun's going to be in Virgo, Mercury's going to be in Virgo, and on the 9th there's going to be a new moon in Virgo. So, you know, the emphasis is on your solar 11th house. And the 11th house rules things like hopes and dreams and wishes and just your friends and organizations that you might belong to and groups. And, you know, I always, when I look at the 11th house now, because things have changed so drastically over the last few years, I look at the 11th house and I see things like, my mind instantly thinks Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, things like that. Now, as I'm trying to open up these things here during this reading, I'm having some difficulty. I don't know why. It's almost like it doesn't want me to give you a reading this month. I'm beginning to get a little freaked out about it, because I've been at this now for several weeks of trying to complete this reading for Scorpio, and I am having a very difficult time getting to the document I need to get to. Okay, give me a second here. And wow, okay, so I didn't do that on purpose. And I'm not looking at anything in particular, but my mouse just landed on Lilith. I've got a file here on Lilith because it's something I'm going to probably, you know, make a video or teach about or something. And for some reason, I landed on Lilith, and I wonder why that was. That really freaks me out. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people align Lilith with Scorpio. Some people with Capricorn, a lot of people with Scorpio. You know, she kind of embodies that. And so that was kind of weird. That's where my mouse kind of clicked on that. Now, I'm looking for something in particular, and I'm not finding it as I speak to you right now. And it's really strange, actually, to be honest with you. There's another spot I'm going to go. So let me talk about this a little bit. I'm so sorry. I might have to cut some of this out because I digress so much here. I literally, right now, as I'm doing or attempting to do this reading, I kid you not, I'm feeling like a burning sensation in my chest right now. Sort of my back, sort of my chest. But it feels like a burning sensation. I think that's very weird. Yeah, I think that's extremely weird. So I'm experiencing that as well. Let me see if I can find this. This is absolutely insane. This is something I use all the time. I am absolutely floored by the fact that I cannot find this right now. Where would I have put this? Well, you know, I'm just going to wing it. I don't know where all the planets are, but thank gosh I am a woman who made a trusty chart, and I did that unknowingly, I always draw a little chart, and for some reason, let me look here. There's one other spot I can look. No. So yeah, I know I have the aspects here somewhere. I'm going through mentally one more time. Yeah, it's so this is one of the reasons why I've had a difficult time getting your reading to you. Now, you know, I like I said, I digress here, but I myself have Scorpio on my 10th house, and I think it's very odd that I'm having such a difficult time doing this reading this month for you Scorpios, and I wonder why that is. I wonder if there's some reason behind that for myself or for you. I think here in the, oh, this might be it. That was August, upcoming events, not this month. No. So, I think what it is that for me, while I'm living in this particular city, and I'm in the city of Seattle at this time, and while I'm in this city of Seattle, I'm influenced under Scorpio, because I believe I would have a Scorpio rising myself here, and I have a Taurus moon, so that kind of gives you an idea of how crazy that is. And so I'm wondering if that has something to do with why I'm having such a difficult time completing this as smoothly and easily as I normally do them. I'm still looking. You guys don't understand. Okay, so now this is happening for you and for me, and I tell you why. This is actually highlighting that I myself, I have OCD. I do. I admit it. And that means when I do something, I have everything organized, and things are supposed to be where they're supposed to be. So when I go to look for them, bling, there it is. It's like magic, but it isn't, because I planned it, and things are where they're supposed to be. So when I go to look for things that I know that I've done 11 other videos. It's not like I don't know that I had this, because 11 other videos have been made. So it's weird when I go to look for something that I know I have and I cannot find it. And it's not where I thought it would have been if I did have it. And so it's very frustrating to me. I've gone through twice now, and I don't believe I'm going to be able to find it. So let's wing it. So the emphasis that you have this month, it's going to start out for you, for most of you guys, at least with the solar chart anyway. The planets are going to be in Virgo. They start out the month in Virgo. The Sun and Mercury will be in Virgo. I do know that the new moon occurs in Virgo on the 9th, and that's going to happen in your 11th house of hopes, dreams, wishes, your friends, organizations. That's going to be positive, because that Virgo is sextile Scorpio, so that's a very positive relationship anyway. So I see really good things for Scorpio. Now, the other thing is that you technically have Jupiter in your solar first house, so you as an individual may feel a sense of contentment, like you'll feel okay, like you'll feel a little bit of joy even. Like I could see that possibly happening. I do remember that Venus goes into that pre-retrograde shadow on the 2nd of September, so it's already in it. I'm a little late, and today is technically the 5th, so we're already in the pre-retrograde shadow of Venus, and that Venus is actually, I believe, today or tomorrow, I know it goes from Libra into Scorpio. And so I think I don't have my dates because I couldn't find my astrological event. But I know somewhere within the next couple of days, if not today, or tomorrow, I believe it is, that Venus goes into into Scorpio. And I do remember that Venus is going to retrograde on the 5th of October. And that's why it's in that pre-retrograde shadow right now, because it's preparing for that retrograde period. And I've been telling a lot of people about this, and I think I'll tell you because this Venus retrograde is going to be occurring in your solar first house in October, and it's in its pre-retrograde shadow right now between your 12th house and your first house. And that's telling me that if if you're in a relationship, I would say this: with Venus in its pre-retrograde shadow, this is not the time for you to have an affair. With Venus in your 12th house going into your first house like that in the pre-retrograde shadow, don't have an affair, don't cheat. Don't do that. It's all going to blow up in your face. It's not a good idea. I told Libra the same thing. Just don't do it. It's not good right now for you guys to cheat. And if you're not in a relationship and you're tempted to get in a relationship, like during this month period between literally a month, literally today a month, September 5th to October 5th is the pre-retrograde shadow. And then on October 5th, it goes retrograde, so it's going to revert back. So, it is possible for someone to meet someone, fall in love, think they found the one, all of that. I've heard of couples getting married in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I've heard of this. This is not unheard of, okay? And so I can see that possibly happening with people having that whirlwind romance under this pre-retrograde shadow, and then the darn thing retrogrades in October. He wakes up one morning and go, what in the world did I do? Don't do that to yourself. And I could see that really happening with you because you guys have Venus starting out in the 12th house, which is really kind of like those things that are not really to your benefit, the 12th house, and then it's going to end up in your first house, and it's going to be retrograde in Scorpio. So just be cautious of relationships, okay? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a few seconds because it all ties in. Anyway, back to Virgo. This area here in the beginning of the month, concentrate on that new moon. This new moon that happens on the 9th of September is really going to be kind of magic for a lot of people. And especially for you, it's literally going to be in your solar house of hopes and dreams and wishes. So what is it that you really hope for? What is it you're secretly been hoping for and it's just not come to fruition? Whatever that is, I think you can really start seeing some real progress right now. And I think you're going to also benefit from friends and groups and organizations. I mean, this whole emphasis right now with Virgo in the first 22 days of the month, all that emphasis is in your solar 11th house of friends, hopes, dreams, wishes, just getting involved and doing things with people. The more you do things with people, the more you'll benefit from it between the 9th and the 24th of September. Now or 22nd, I would say, that for sure. Now on the 21st, the Mercury is going to go from Virgo into Libra. And when it does that, it goes from your hopes and dreams, wishes house to like the house of your self-undoing, as they call it. It's just a house of your subconscious or your hidden motivations. Sometimes I always say it's a house of dreams because a lot of times it's where people get real creative and they have these dreams. And, like in our inner sanctum, we're all like Beyonce, right? And you've got Libra there, and you've got Venus there, and the Sun there, Mercury there, and so you could have some really creative dreams about, your inner life is full this month. Inner life is great. Your creativity is high. I mean, you could create works of art with Libra in the 12th house. Anything is possible when you got Venus and Mercury and the Sun in the 12th house like that. So I would say take advantage of that, because once, as I mentioned, Venus is going to go from that 12th house into your first house, which is your actual persona, your actual personality. And you've got Jupiter there, as I started out saying, in the first house. So your whole personality should be pretty happy and jovial. It's all positive and forward moving. I mean, that's the way it feels anyway. And it's really kind of about you, you know. You've got that Jupiter in your first house. Take advantage of that. Jupiter only goes to that first house every 12 years. So, you know, I don't know where because this is a general reading. And so, you know, I'm talking about a solar chart. But where does that Jupiter fall in your chart? Wherever it does, that's where your luck is right now. And you need to follow that, because that follow the luck. And right now the luck is literally you. Like, it's in your solar first house in Scorpio. And so, you know, I think it's going to be in Scorpio for a few more months. My goodness. If you haven't already taken advantage of Scorpio, this Jupiter in Scorpio this year, and had some amazing things happen, then be aware of it and manifest those good things to come and be bestowed upon you now, because this is your time. Now, of course, Jupiter in the first house could mean you can gain a little weight, and that could have been an issue for the last few months. I can see some of you guys dealing with that. And with Venus transiting the first house, even when it's in retrograde like that, you guys, or when it does retrograde, but it's not going to retrograde until October 5th. So all of September, just about, you're going to be feeling that Venus in your first house. Be aware of gaining weight, okay? Because Venus in the first house, you won't even realize it, because it starts out in the 12th in Libra, the house of self-undoing. And then it goes into the first house. Like, can you get a break already? So I can feel it, because I have Venus, or I have Scorpio rising, as I mentioned earlier, here in Seattle. And I just feel like I had cankles. And that is Venus in the first house or the 12th house. I mean, you know, as it goes into the first house, it would be conjunct the first house if it's not already there. Now, you guys have, you know, Saturn and Pluto have been transiting Capricorn, and that is sextile Scorpios, and that's down in the third house of communication. You know, it's weird, because Pluto is power. It transforms wherever it goes, of course, but it's always some form of power. And Saturn there, everyone says it's such a hard, restrictive type of thing. I think it's just where you work harder. And if you're not working harder, there is where you should be working harder. If you're not doing more communicating and writing and reading, and as I say, reading, writing, and arithmetic, the third house. But if you haven't been really in that area, doing a lot of that, just talking or literary or reading or writing, then you're missing it, because this is what Saturn would have you do. This is there to polish that area by having you work harder in it. And so, you know, the third house is, you know, this entire year really is where that emphasis is going to be, in that solar third house. I hope that you Scorpios are taking advantage of the power of Pluto, your ruling sign, really. Hope you're taking advantage of having your ruling planet in the third house of communications, and Saturn, you know, that great taskmaster in the third house of communications, really making you work harder at that area than ever before. And you may find that you've had to work out some issues with, like, family members, or especially brothers or sisters or aunts or uncles or cousins, or, you know, nieces, or any of those things. But you might find that these are, you're seeing nephews and nieces and cousins and aunts and stuff more showing up in your life, or issues pop up with them more than they have before, because these are some heavy planets, and they're slower moving. And so the influence will definitely be felt. And they are going to sextile Scorpio at one point or another. And so it's a positive and beneficial aspect, but it is still one that we have to go through. And so, you know, as I mentioned, it's just I wanted to discuss that emphasis in Capricorn, because that is sextile you, and it's trying all that Virgo that's happening in the beginning of September. So, you know, that the new moon in Virgo, that Sun and Mercury, and I think they make some aspects to Pluto. And then, of course, we've got that Mars is going to be in your solar 4th house. Now, that concerns me, because that could mean some friction with your home life or family in some way. And I wonder why that is. But, you know, Mars is always causing trouble wherever it goes. You may have had some issues with your communication over the summer. Like people, I don't know, you just, either you did a lot of communicating, or some people might have felt like you came off a little aggressive communicating. But now it's going into the 4th house, the solar 4th house. And it just could mean some issues with communicating with family members, or in your home in particular. And I just thought of something suddenly. I had just a little verbal tiff with my daughter last night after we blew out her birthday cake, believe it or not. And it was a moment that left both of us kind of like in tears. But it was something that was uncontrollable. I couldn't understand it. But now that I realize for myself, maybe this is why I was saving this reading for last. But, you know, with Mars in the 4th house, it's really easy to have this sudden anger burst, or arguments, or disagreements, or stress, or strife, or something like that that can occur with the family or home life. And this is really so for Scorpio. And I believe that if Venus is in Scorpio already, it would be in those very early degrees of Scorpio, and Mars right now is also in the very early degrees of Scorpio. I don't even need to see my astrological events to remember that. And I know that that would mean a natural square from the personality to the family house. So that's like your actual personality causing some stress within your family, and you probably don't even understand why. So just be aware of that. If you are aware of that, then you can maybe find ways to buffer that. Now, once the, I would just find ways to buffer that, because you might experience a little something in the early portion of the month, when that early Venus squares that early Mars. And that's the 1st house of the 4th house, as I mentioned. So please be aware of that. And I'm just wondering also that that Mars down in the 4th house opposing the solar 10th house, how that really is going to affect the career and image as well. Because, whenever Mars goes into the 4th house, it kind of makes it where the activity is at home. And so I hope it's not going to negatively affect your career life in some way. One option, of course, would be to work at home, because there is going to be more emphasis on home and family as Mars now moves forward and has, station direct and gone forward now and is back into the sign of Aquarius. And it's going to go through that solar 4th house. And as it does, you're going to feel that at one point or another, that Mars is going to square your Scorpio suns. And you're going to feel that. And it's not going to feel good, because it's stressful. Squares are always stressful. And, any kind of stress in a family or in a home is uncomfortable. Or home is where we want to feel safe and secure. So please be aware that this is a possible issue for you guys in the month of September, that this could possibly happen for especially those who are born at the early degrees of Scorpio. I think it might affect you even more so with Venus on your sun and squaring Mars, and could mean a problem in the relationships and caught somebody cheating in the house. I just saw someone being caught in the bed with somebody. Like, Lord, it's not good. You know what I mean? Not good. Now, Neptune, and this is kind of pushing that same thought, because this is, you got Neptune is sitting in Pisces, okay? Neptune in Pisces is no joke. Everyone thinks it's so sweet. It ain't sweet. Neptune is all kind of confusion. And it's in Pisces. That's its own place. It's like in the home of confusion. Like, what was that song? It was something like Ball of Confusion. Something like that. Years ago. I think it was called Ball of Confusion. That is Neptune in Pisces. Ball of Confusion. Yeah, that was a temptation. That is what the world is today. Hey, something like that. Anyway, you got Neptune in the 5th house of Pisces. So, how would that manifest? I wouldn't trust not nary romantic partner right now. Not nary one. I ain't saying they cheating. I'm saying they probably cheating. And they don't even know why. And I just see dishonesty. I mean, Neptune is like lies and illusions, and it could be glamour. Now, I could see another portion of this, because it could be a beautiful Neptune. I always like to think positively. Let's say, for instance, you meet somebody. I hope to goodness this does not happen to somebody. Oh, this is so sad. You could go on a whirlwind romance with someone in the month of September, and it would be so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Because Neptune's in Pisces. It's in the 5th house. So they would wine you, dine you, probably fly you to Vegas or something. I mean, I can see all kind of fancy, beautiful, dreamy love making. It's a beautiful Pisces Neptune in the 5th house. Every imaginable love dream is there. You know, and even and if it doesn't take its emphasis doesn't happen in romance and love, it's going to happen in, like, probably either with your children, where you're going to feel like something is going to be confusing, or you're going to feel duped by your children or lied to, or you might get pregnant out of the blue, like, what? How in the world? Or, you know, something like that. Or it could be where you take a chance. I can see somebody winning the lotto. Yep. Somebody can win the lotto. I would play the lottery if I were a Scorpio. Keep hope alive. With this, I mean, especially in the early months. Remember I said hope, dreams, and wishes. Hopes, dreams, and wishes. And you'll have good dreams too, because once it moves into Libra, that's your dream house. So you might have dream of numbers. If you dream of numbers in the month of September, at the end of the month, like after the 21st, if you start dreaming of numbers on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, especially the 24th, because that's going to be a weird full moon in Aries opposing your 12th house, play those numbers, because you got Neptune in the 5th house, and it's going to hang around in that 5th house for a long time. I just hope all your relationships are secure. And if anything happens, just know it's because it's just probably confusion. Because all 5th house things are, with Neptune on them, are confusing. And, you know, they could be beautiful, because it's the beautiful dream. I think that's what I'm going to call your thing this month, the beautiful dream. It's a beautiful dream, isn't it? The sun opposing Neptune like that, and your friends, and then your 5th house. It's a beautiful little dream. Now, it could be a dream of you, you know, I don't know, with pregnancy. That could be it. But, yeah, see how that manifests in your life, because you do have Neptune there. And it's going to be there for a little while. So something magical. It's also magical. Also, there's a full moon in Aries, and I mentioned that earlier. You know, the full moon in Aries is in your 6th house, and that's your work on the 24th. And you know what, you guys, I just realized you got the longest reading of everybody. It's because I've been I don't know why. I was led to do this. Anyway, you got that full moon on the 6th, on the 24th in your 6th house. And that means that the area of work and your health is going to be highlighted on the 24th of September. Now, I don't know if that means you really are going to have some issues with your health on the 24th of September. But just know that, there could be issues there on that day with health. It could be healing. It could be, it could just be work related. Okay. But I feel like it's going to be stress because it's going to be opposed to moon. I mean, the sun and the moon are going to be opposed to each other. And, sun, Mercury are going to be opposed a full moon. So, and the sun and Mercury are in the 12th house, opposing the full moon in the 6th house. That's either like you're going to have a nervous breakdown. No, I'm kidding. I hope it ain't going to be that. You'll have a good dream, and maybe hopefully that good dream will spur something in your work life. But it could be that your work life is just explosive in some way. Because Aries is a fire sign, and Aries is explosive in nature. It's always push forwards. It's always pushing. And it always starts fires. It's always number one. You might have an urge to be number one that day. I mean, that is a full moon. And, I don't know how exactly it's going to manifest in that 6th house, but just know that it's going to be extra emotional when it comes to work and your health and something like that. Maybe something healing. So you'll feel that. And lastly, I just want to say that Taurus has moved from Uranus has moved from Aries to Taurus. And Taurus is your solar 7th house. Your solar 7th house. And that means that Uranus, again, more emphasis on them relationships, child. Uranus is in the 7th house. Uranus is in the 7th house. Uranus is in the 7th house. If I say it slow, you can even pick up the problem. You know what? I'm serious. I would not trust a single man this month. I'm sorry, a woman. Whoever your partner is. Something's up. I could be wrong. But they could just be changing. Or you could just be changing. Or your relationship just could be changing. Or you could just suddenly realize your relationship just, changes or gets freaky or takes on a whole different vibe or something. Uranus is sudden change. Sudden, I almost want to say explosive change. It like yanks you out of your... It's like, imagine yanking your like bones out of your body kind of change. Like, damn, it's serious. And you got that in your relation, that's going to be a major change. I don't know if the marriage itself is changing or the things surrounding the marriage is changing or the partners are changing. I would just tell you as an individual, whatever happens around you, let it happen around you, because that's not you. That's your partner. That's outside of you. You don't have to go weird if your partner goes weird. But your partner might go weird, okay? They might be cheating on you. I see you're somebody cheating on you and coming up with somebody coming up pregnant, and it ain't you. Might be them, right? And wouldn't that be horrible? Or was that you come up pregnant and you cheating with somebody else's man? Oh. Anyway, let me stop. I'm 34 minutes in. I did not mean this reading to go that long. But please be aware of these things, because this is the emphasis for Scorpio for the month of September 2018. I love you, Scorpios, and I hope that whatever it is that I just said resonates with somebody out there. For some reason, I was led to say whatever I was led to say tonight, and I had to say it, and I'm glad I did. And with that, I will thank you so much for spending your time with me and entrusting me with your horoscope this month. And please come and join me at astrologyalookinside.com. And if you ever want to get a free reading, look down there at the bottom there, and it shows you exactly how you can get a little free mini reading from me. Okay, have a great September, everyone. Mwah. Much love and light to all.